Welcome to Legends of Grayskull, the Masters of the Universe podcast that dives deep into the lore of Eternia, Etheria, and more. Join your hosts Matthew Dooch and Shawn Scavarna as they discuss the most powerful stories the universe has to offer. News, remasterings, and more are just ahead on Legends of Grayskull. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 57 of Legends of Grayskull, the fan podcast where we discuss the history, the mystery, the magic, and mythology of He-Man, She-Ra, Eternia, Etheria, Nordor, Primus, New Adventures, Old Adventures, Ladybird, UK Annuals, mini-comics, comics, Star, Marvel, DC, anything and everything you can think of with that He-Man, She-Ra, Masters of the Universe, Princess of Power, that Mattel logo down in the corner. I'm Matthew Dooch. I'm here with Shawn Scavarna. Shawn, how are we doing today?
I am pleasant.
There it is.
I am calm. Yeah, we had a little bit of a glitch, but yeah, I'm pleasant and calm and half awake. So let's do this. Let's see how much English I can do goodly on a Sunday morning like this.
Couple housekeeping things right off the bat. Number one. And my mind goes blank. Number one, thank you everybody who helped us cross the 200 subscriber threshold. We really appreciate it. As you guys know, we are doing a giveaway for that. First prize is the Power and the Honor Foundation book from the Power and the Honor Foundation. And then the second place prize was an Masters of the Universe Origin Scare Globe. I also said earlier in the week that if we could hit the 200 before Sunday morning, I would throw a third place prize in there. And we did it. Late last night, I got the notification that the channel had officially hit 200 subscribers. However, so you guys did it. So we're going to give away 3 prizes. We got the book, the toy, and a third place mystery prize. Good job. Thank you so much. However, you guys took it so far down to the wire that, number one, I didn't have time to get the wheel ready. Number two, I want to give everybody a chance to get on this, because we got 200 subscribers, and right now the odds are actually really good. I want to guess we probably have about 30, 35 entries, maybe? And that's just ballpark, and I haven't actually compiled the whole list. So if you're listening to this, you still have a chance. I'm gonna pop on midweek. I'm not gonna lock down exactly as of right now, but probably Wednesday or so, I'm guessing. So you have from now, pretty much until I go live, and I will go live to give this away, to get in on it. So all you gotta do, just screenshot the YouTube screen where it shows that you're subscribed. Either go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/Legends of Grayskull podcast, links down below, or email it to us. I know some of you guys aren't even on Facebook, so get in on this. There are great odds. You can win an awesome prize shipped worldwide free. And you can, if you're not on Facebook, I got our email down below, logpod85@gmail.com, logpod85@gmail.com. Just shoot it on over to me, and you'll be in. So, I think that's about it. So, yes, so thank you all. We're beating that YouTube algorithm. We're coming up more often. Thank you to everybody who subscribed, commented, liked, shared, all of that. We really do appreciate it, and it is making a difference.
Yeah, heck, our last outing on the show is one of the biggest ones that we've ever had to date in the year that we've been doing this. We're used to seeing 30, 50, 70, 80 views, and all of a sudden now we have 2.4 thousand views, and we're like, wait a minute, this is nuts.
Yeah, a little
trickery
on my part, and
we definitely touched a topic that did make people, like, oh, the newest thing, we're going to talk about that. But It's still just amazing to go, holy crap, that there's been a lot of people that have been looking at us lately. So it's,
been great, guys.
It's staggering.
And I do want to say, as great as YouTube and the video version of it has been, our audio version actually blows the YouTube out of the water. And so, audio listeners, never fear. I have something special I'm cooking up for you, because I thought about that a couple days ago, that we never highlight the audio-only listeners. And that's how I started listening to podcasts. Even the ones that did have video versions, because I was always on the go, at work, I could, I could just put my earplugs in, or earpods in, and just go. So, don't worry, audio-only listeners is going to be something special cooked up just for you, because you guys are amazing as well. It's been a great year. 13 months, 200 subscribers for the niche property that Masters of the Universe is. I'm happy. I'm ecstatic.
Yeah.
Thank you all, guys.
It's awesome.
So, let's jump into the news.
No, under, no, around. Oh, oh, dearie my. Oh, we must work on these landings.
I agree.
Madam Raz, are you all right? Oh, dearie my, yes. But there was something important I had to tell you. Now, what was that again?
The news, madam, the news. It's time for the news.
Oh boy! So we took a couple weeks off there. That was my fault, guys. My apologies. My kids are lined up to where 3 out of the 4 kids have birthdays within 2 weeks in February. So the last couple weeks were all about celebrating them as they get older.
I've told Matt he is a glutton for punishment, having that many birthdays all in a row. But hey,
it's worse than that. It's my son December, my wife January, and then the other 3 kids in February.
And then you're not far after that, and then you have everything cleared out then for the rest of the year, right?
Yeah, then I'm April, and then all right. See
Yep,
you next December.
And then you're good until next December, until December hits again. Whereas, for my family, we're sprinkled from March, April, August, and then October with me. So, and it's just like you. I follow at the very end, like everybody, like you guys.
Yep.
So yeah.
But honestly, I think it worked out. Because otherwise we would have recorded last Sunday and
serendipity.
Just done a mini comic or something, which is also fun. We got to get back to some of that. But today's going to be all about the news. So let's run through this here. All right, so first off, Tweeterhead is back in the game. And this one I actually didn't hear about except from you. So how'd you hear about it?
I saw a post about it on Facebook recently, and the actual sculpt really grabbed my attention, because how often do you look face to face with Skeletor looking like this? I mean,
for those of us,
it's life sized.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. It's actually going to be life size, so
that's going to be a whopping bust.
And
for being life size.
They said a removable cape and hood, if I recall correctly.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, for those of us listening audio-wise, we were talking about the Tweeterhead Skeletor Legends life-sized bust. I don't think we said that earlier, but visually you could see it. But yeah, it looks phenomenal. The detail alone. I was looking. Actually, the thing that got me was I was looking at the teeth. I know that sounds silly, but I was looking at
the teeth. Are a part that is commonly messed up on Skeletor. It can either make or break.
And they did basically. Then it's like a nod to the 87/2000X deal where he has the fangs in this version. But one thing that I was really impressed by, and I know this is going to sound silly, but in the sculpt, where the teeth connect to the skull, they're not all symmetrical.
Right.
I like that they have even those little details where you see a little more of the tooth going into the skull for a little bits, and then there's other ones where it's like, oh, it's down a little lower, it's up a little higher, so it's not perfect. and that makes it feel more real life to me than seeing something that across the board is all symmetrical. It's one of those complaints I have about the Origins line where it just everything's too symmetrical. Everything is too so it looks like there has been some actual craft to this. There's been some, sculpting by hand to make this a unique piece. And I actually thought of showing this to my daughter, and I'm like, I think she'd be scared to death I'm going to get this thing, and she'll have nightmares knowing it's in the house for the rest of her life. Because it really is it's a great piece.
Yeah, it looks great here. Very 2000X reminiscent. Very it looks like it's going to be another kind of compilation, amalgamation of all these different kind of Skeletors with their own flair. But he looks scary. He looks like the Lord of Destruction. Life size. That is. Whoa. All right, let's throw it out there. What do you think this is going to cost?
I'd say a minimum 500.
I was thinking a minimum of $6.
$6. All right. Well, there you go.
I want to say, and I'm probably wrong. Yell at me if I am. But I want to say the first Tweeterhead busts were like 300, weren't they? Or they were at least 250. And those were
those
smaller.
weren't life size.
Huh.
Yeah, those were more compact. This is. I think actually now that you said 600, I feel like I'm doing like 750. It's like I feel like I'm gonna one up you like we're in an auction.
I think it could go up.
I could see it.
I think it could go up to $1,000, depending on what they do with this. Are the eyes going to be painted on? Are they going to be light up? I think if the cloth and hood or the cape and hood are removable, that means they're probably cloth. So then you got cloth goods in there. Yeah, I'd say minimum of 6 and probably $1,000 is probably the ceiling for this. So.
And also, I wonder how much it's going to weigh, depending what materials they use to create it and everything.
The shipping debacles when this thing hits?
I don't even want to imagine that headache. It's a gorgeous piece.
It is.
Like I have been very impressed. The Hordak piece that they recently had out there last year. The statue is gorgeous, and it's like if I was in the statue game, this would be a must-have. But I thankfully am only into the figures, and that's all I can afford.
Well,
so,
that's it.
But if I could, I would definitely go for it.
If I had the money, I would have all of the statues. I would have all the busts. I would if the money was no option thing. But honestly, this is one of those things I would rather pick up in a local shop. Because that way I can, like you said, I can inspect it first. I don't have to worry about FedEx or UPS or the post office. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
That's how I was with my NECA stuff. I have some of the mini busts and the statues that NECA did back during 2000X, but all my stuff I bought from local shops. I didn't order it, and you would hear stories, and those things were packed off. They were giant foam trays, they were packed beautifully, but at the end of the day, these carriers can do damage, even not intentionally. It just there's big machinery, road conditions, just stuff happens. So, this is something where if I saw it in the comic shop, I'd really be tempted. And I might pull the trigger on some of this stuff. Luckily, none of my local comic shops ever get any of this stuff.
Yeah, if I saw this in person and, like you said, money was no object, Skeletor would be my roommate.
Right.
So, and imagine if those eyes were if it was battery operated, where the eyes would light up like that. How cool would that be to have that in a dark room and you just see those eyes piercing through the darkness? That would be amazing. I think
there's a good chance because I think they did that on one of their earlier Skeletors, didn't they? The Alcala looking one. I could have sworn they did. Maybe it was somebody else.
I know I've seen that one, but I didn't know that had light up eyes.
It might have been a special edition because they do those deluxe editions too. And I think that big Battle Cat they did. I think there's a version of that with light up eyes as well. But I could be wrong on all of that. I don't follow this stuff as closely as I do other things.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way because it's like when it's out of my price range, it's like, oh, that's nice. I'm gonna put that over here. It's just nice to know it's there, but I'm not gonna get into the details. But no, it's a gorgeous piece,
Gorgeous
though.
piece.
So.
All right, moving on. Mega Construx has some cool new stuff coming. Shawn, you still haven't pulled the trigger on any Mega Construx, have you?
I only have the Wind Raider set. I got that in a
Oh, you
trade, and I have that. I haven't put it together. I do have that one, and you and I have actually been talking back and forth because I saw the Roton one, and it had Battle Armor He-Man and Battle Cat with Merman, and I saw that on clearance at Walmart, and I'm like, now this might be getting me because the Battle Armor He-Man. That brings back good memories. And now they're bringing out even more stuff, and it's like, my God, they just keep on putting that. Yeah. It's all in front of my face now. I'm noticing it way more. They're doing great. So now we got a Mega Construx Battle Cat.
Battle Cat, like a build a Battle Cat. They've done this. Well, because Battle Cat's been released as a minifigure in the Mega Construx line.
Yeah.
But this is actually where you build Battle Cat out of the blocks. If you guys have seen, they do this with Pokemon a lot. They got a lot of Mega Construx Pokemon where you're actually building Pikachu and Eevee and everybody out of the blocks, joints and everything. And this was shown off at this recent Mattel investors meeting, which comprises most of the news we have today. But yeah, he looks pretty cool. He comes with a little stand you can build with his nameplate on him, and it's got like a little peg there so you can pose him like he's jumping up through the air and everything, or even going up on his hind legs. I can see kids having a lot of fun with this, and then with the addition of the stand for posing, adult collectors can have a lot of fun with this. And interestingly enough, this does use the He-Man and the Masters of the Universe logo on it. So
one thing that I'll point out real quick because of how Origins played it. Hey, guess what? Mega Construx can also do the hinged ankle joints on Battle Cat. Look at that. It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, here and in the minifigures. The minifigures have
yes.
It. So
anyway, that is my dig. I still can't believe that they thought, let's just take that away from the figure.
So let's go to the next one. So speaking of that,
here we go.
They also showed off an image for He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, the CGI series coming from Netflix this fall. We also have a date, and I did not bring it, but they did show during the presentation that the He-Man and the Masters of the Universe cartoon is dropping in the fall. And we get this cool shot of He-Man on Battle Cat. He-Man looking very, I'd say Eternity War meets 2000X, I think is the best way to describe it. Especially that power sword. That power sword is the sword of eternity from the DC miniseries. Almost 100%. Definitely inspired by it. Battle Cat is looking very, very armored, 2000X reminiscent, but even kicked up into the tech aspect. Another 10 degrees, I think. What are your thoughts here, seeing this? And again, there are going to be toys coming. They said there's going to be an action figure line for the He-Man cartoon. But this picture is of the animation, the CGI.
Yeah. I think the one thing that I to start it off, I was kind of surprised how much gray or black is on He-Man in his suit, because typically, even in Eternity War, they had him be, red and yellows.
Yes.
At least. So it kind of tied his color scheme that we're used to together. But honestly, it's like, okay, it's new. It's different. And, it's like I said, even last episode, you're not going to be four for the rest of your life. You have to eventually grow up and change. Is it the barbarian version that I love from when I was a kid? No. But the thing is, He-Man is almost like an avatar for action adventure in a sci-fi / fantasy realm. So this version to me almost has, and I was trying to look it up the other day and I couldn't remember. There's a 2000X variant that I'm like, it reminds me of that variant because he had like a black on his top at least, like on his torso.
The Shield Strike He-Man.
Shield Strike, okay. So it almost had that flavor of it. I do miss the loincloth being furry and the boots being furry, but when I look at it, I just look at it as it's like an upgraded version of He-Man to me. And, you know, there is enough elements there to make me go, okay, it's just a, you know, like I said, upgraded version of He-Man. It's a upgraded to 2021 style versus, you know, 1983. Yeah. I think Battle Cat for me was definitely like a holy, you know, like I took a couple of looks at that, and I think from a drawing standpoint, like if somebody came to me and goes, hey, can you draw the new Battle Cat? I would look at them and go, I need a year lead time into this because this is nuts. Like, this design is definitely detailed.
Yeah.
But if you look at it from, if you're in the story and you see that coming at you on the battlefield, you would be scared to death of this thing. Battle Cat in this, I think, is actually even more scary than any version we've had animated so far, because he looks like a cross between a Transformer meets Battle Cat, and deadlier looking than any version we've previously had. And yeah.
No, I agree. I think very Zoids. You remember Zoids from the 90s?
Zoids,
that's what he reminds me of. But to me, and I know people disagree with me, I think you take away that He-Man and the Masters of the Universe logo, and I think you show this to somebody, and I think they will still go, oh, that's He-Man and Battle Cat. I think that they got enough. Right, like you said, it's definitely upgraded. It's definitely, you know, trying to get the kids of today, but it's still instantly recognizable to me. I think that Power Sword, it still has. They're obviously playing up the technology aspect like they did in 2000X, but I think this Power Sword hits it better than the 2000X Power Sword did. It's still got a more traditional shape to it. It's got a bit of color variation instead of being all gray. Like you said, He-Man's the biggest departure. Battle Cat's armored up. But it's something new and different, and that intrigues me. That excites me. That goes, okay, where are they taking this story? And that's the big thing to me. You know, and I've said it before. I've said it many, many times. A good story can make me forgive a lot of things. A good story can make me forgive lackluster character designs. It can make me forgive poor animation. You know, not that I'm saying this is going to have that, but it as long as it's got a good story, something I can get invested in, I can forgive a lot of things, or I can adapt. So looking at this here, I think definitely the technology is going to play a big part in this one. Which seems to be the way everything's going. And honestly, it's not that far off from the roots. I mean, technology was present in even the earliest mini-comics. So, you know, for all those that say, well, it needs to be sword and sorcery, well, Masters never really was fully sword and sorcery. They were sword, sorcery, and technology. So this still works for me. And who's to say? I mean, He-Man's sitting on Battle Cat. I think there's a chance he still has a loincloth on there. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. I can't tell from that picture. You know, and I think that would help tie it in a little better. If anything, the only complaint I really have, like you said, is it does look a bit dark. Especially because Battle Cat retains his red, yellow, and green aesthetic. You know, new parts and everything,
and
different shading, but it's still his color scheme. He-Man's got the bigger departure there. I would like to see a little more brown or red in there.
So I did write over, like, when was that? Wednesday when they released these, I want to say, or when it leaked. I did write up a few initial reactions I had to it because obviously we're recording this a few days afterwards. I pretty much said what I initially said, but here's a couple quick things to throw at you. So the Power Sword, parts of He-Man's muscles, and parts of Battle Cat are glowing in this version, which that interested me because it makes me wonder with how Eternity War went. You're seeing when he's having the power of Grayskull, his suit now is reflecting the power by it glowing in certain areas. And I feel like this version is also going to be playing towards that idea.
Absolutely.
And that's an interesting take on it because we haven't seen that done in animation yet. We've only seen it in that comic. So it's like when you look at his arms, you see yellows coming down his biceps and stuff, and you see it in the sword.
The sword is all you can see it.
You do see
just
it
like in Eternity War, all the grooves,
the hilt.
Exactly.
And it's even in his boots. On the sides of his boots, there's light up areas and stuff. Battle Cat's claws are lit up. His eyes are lit up. And I dig that aspect because it's the first time we've ever seen the actual power like radiating from him in any version. And with CGI, that's a heck of an easy way for them to do that compared to animating it constantly by hand.
And I gotta say, real quick here too, I think that's going to go story-wise, and I don't want to get too far into speculation. We should probably do a whole episode on speculation where the story's going, because you know how we get going. But I could see it going story-wise where the power of Grayskull is actually powering this technology. I think there's going to be kind of that symbiotic relationship between magic and technology in this series, and that's where it's going, you know. So,
yeah, I could see it. I almost feel like what they're doing here is taking at least a page or two out of the Netflix She-Ra book with the idea
didn't want to say it, but yes, that's where I was thinking as well.
But I hope it's done better because I was not impressed by how the payoff of that went in that show, and it feels like this looks like you're going to have an earned idea to it because it's going to apply throughout the entire show if he's showing up looking like this immediately versus the way they did it on She-Ra. It was this kind of ooga booga, here it is, whatever, and your explanation doesn't add up to what you were imagining.
But I can definitely
in your
see
own mind
it going,
watching
you
it.
know, that the power of Grayskull, it has something to do with this technology. It's just...
Yes.
But anyways, go on.
And I like that.
If done right, it could be very good. It could be very good.
Mm-hmm. And the thing, too, is... In this version, maybe they'll get into more of what the power actually means of when he calls upon the power of Grayskull. It might actually get into a little more meat and potatoes about that and give kids an idea of this is what it is versus it being this mystery. This mysterious, power that it's always this, well, it's this power and everybody would like to have this power and all that, like how we grew up with it. The other thing, there's two more things I wanted to touch on real quick, but the on Battle Cat's saddle and then on, I want to say it's his belt, there is an insignia now. And I feel like that's almost a nod to the hero on the Hero Classics figure. He has that Grayskull insignia, and I feel like that's now their new idea of that, which I think is interesting. If it's not the Grayskull insignia, just manipulated for this, I wonder what that means.
I think it's Grayskull. It's going to be the insignia. Yeah. I didn't notice it on the belt, but yeah, that's what on Battle Cat's shoulder armor. I thought that was supposed to be the new Grayskull symbol. Mm-hmm.
And I actually like that idea because it gives it almost this. He's like errant knight running into battle under the flag of Grayskull then in that way versus, like there's been a lot of hubbub about, the cross being gone.
Well, we'll get to that.
It feels like I'm sure, but this genuinely feels like, well, they're trying to put their own spin on some of these things. So it's like, okay, that might not be in the lexicon for this now, but you got these other options of things that can be identifiable and have some meaning to the characters as well, which I like.
Exactly.
And then the last one that I'll throw out there real quick is if you look at He-Man's face, which granted the images that we've had to work with all week have been pixelated or grainy or blurry, so I'm not going to say genuinely this is the detail, but when I looked at He-Man's face, he looks a little cocky this time around. He's got a smirk. He doesn't have that like battle ready look that we were always associating, or a seriousness to him. And I'm like, okay, is this? I think the thing is, when I look at this piece, I look at it and I see, like everybody's complaining, okay, what about proportions? What about this? What about that? Well, it's like, look at the freaking Incredibles, number one. I mean, the Incredibles aren't proportionate. And they're cartoons,
and
okay?
That's exactly,
and you can do
that's
that.
That's exactly who I thought of when I saw that closer-up photo of He-Man's face. I thought of Mr. Incredible. A little bit more having fun with it. Like, he's just like, yeah, I'm
exactly
the most powerful man in the universe. Let's do this.
Well, the thing that I'm wondering real quick is when I look at that, I'm like, okay, if this is the kids' version, obviously, I felt like there's Adam coming out in that. And it made me start going, is this going to be like Adam gets the power up, but then it's basically Adam is still himself, but it's like Shazam in that way, where it's not going to feel like when we watched Filmation, you could always tell the break between Adam and He-Man. I feel like this might be the one where there isn't going to be a break. Adam is going to be completely cognizant of what's happening the entire time, and his personality is always going to be there. And he'll probably have to be like, well, and, address people in like a heroic way in public, but then he would sound just like Adam if it was him talking to Man-at-Arms in a private moment, or Orko, or whatever. And I'm just curious if maybe they're going that route with it versus it being the way that we've traditionally known it to be.
Well, I think it is going to be, number one, a younger Adam, maybe a 16-year-old or something like that. I do hope that, but I think it'll be closer to 2000 Mike Young Productions than it will be Filmation. I think there will be a little less of a split. I think we're going to pick up right at the beginning. I think he's going to get the power sword. We're going to see the first transformation. I think that's how they're going to run this. So, yes, you're going to see that He-Man that's learning. That's, like you said, he's going to be a little more cocky. And that will probably lead to some mistakes along the way. Which is good.
Yep.
I love that. I love those kind of stories. That's one of the great things about, we talked about before, about Mike Young Productions, is how they built him. And you saw him grow over the series. And I think that's what we're going to get here. Yeah, he's going to run out like, I've got, he's still, I think they're still going to hopefully, number one, keep the secret identity. Number two, make a split, so not everybody just like, oh yeah, there's Adam with muscles. But I do think there'll be a little bit more of him having fun with the power, a little bit more.
Yeah.
Like you said, the Shazam movie is a perfect example where he first gets the power and he's just running around like testing out everything and messing around with his friends. Like I can see that first, like the all fun and games thing. If they write it well, that can take a dark turn. It's like, okay, it's all fun and games until I mess up, until I lose this battle to Skeletor, until my cockiness, gets and he's got to learn and grow as a hero and as a leader. And I think that's something they can do, even though they're saying this is for kids. That's something that you can do nowadays in kids' television. You can have these pretty dark moments that we never would have thought. I mean, Young Justice is a great example that pops into mind. That's dealt with some deep, dark stuff, but it was still a kid's show because the way it's written, the way it's handled, a kid can pop that in and kind of not grasp the fullness of the situation, but us adults can sit there and go, holy smokes, like that's messed up.
Well, yeah, and I mean, going back to the Shazam movie as an example, my kids love that movie. We watched that so many times last year.
Oh, it's a great movie.
And I mean, the one moment in that movie that the kids and I, every time it happens, we all are glued to the screen and we're cheering. is the part when, spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen this, I'm just going to throw it out there real quick. I know Matt's already seen this, so I can at least talk freely with him about it. Is after Billy visits his mom and finds out, she's not who he remembers, and she's lived the life she has, and that's the end of that. And then he gets the phone call, and Billy, supervillain, and he runs off the roof and yells Shazam. It's like that has to happen on this for me, because I want to see Adam, like he's like amazed by what he can do. And maybe, he like Shazam, there is maybe a little bit of an irresponsibility level to show kids the whole with great power, great responsibility, like Spider-Man. But then when that moment where he's got to rise to the occasion, I want to cheer with He-Man just as much as I want my kids to in that moment. And if they do anything like that on this series, I'm going to say that's already solid and it's won me over, because that matters to me in story more than I'm worried about how he looks nowadays.
Exactly. Last thing we got from Mattel. Masters of the Universe Revelation. Officially 10 episodes. We're going to get 10 episodes. They're also going to split it under 2 seasons. Now, before Shawn freaks out again. It wasn't just Shawn. When they say 2 seasons, that's Netflix seasons. So, we saw it already, everything season. I watched The Ranch on there, She-Ra, so many things. Netflix seasons are not real seasons. Number one, there's usually not a year between them. I know with The Ranch, when I was watching that, when it came out, they'd drop episodes in like October, and then they drop them again in like April or so. So like every 6 months. Mm-hmm. So I'm assuming that's what they're doing here. So they're refusing to, number one, to do the weekly thing, which I think would help the series so much, but Netflix just won't get on board, even though Disney Plus has shown that it works as for building hype and excitement.
Definitely.
So instead, they're going to split. They're going to drop 5 and 5. And Mattel did say that the first 5 are coming this summer. So we're getting close.
Yeah. At least we got something finally.
We got something. Not only did we get that, so we got that there will officially be 10 episodes. I know we're still not sure on length, but Kevin Smith had said before that they're longer than 20, but not an hour. So, I mean, really, if you do even 40 minutes, that would actually equate to about 20, half-hour network shows. So, pretty close to a full season. And really, anymore, I mean, growing up, a season to us used to be 26. I think nowadays, I think 13's more the industry standard. And again, everybody just likes churning them out quicker. Instead of 26 waiting a year, they do 13 every 9 months or so. They're adapting and evolving. And I'm just going to jump on the next slide here because I know what Shawn's really itching to get to. The action figures. Because while they still will not show us any of the animation for Revelation, they did leak some action figure designs.
Yeah, finally.
However, since this originally aired, because they did the investor meeting, they aired it, that's where these screenshots were pulled from, and then they put the presentation up for replay, but on replay, all of these pictures are blurred out.
Yeah.
So, I think Mattel pulled a bit of a whoopsie here.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, either they did it as we didn't mean to actually have that get leaked, or once the leak happened, they were not thrilled with the reaction by people or something. Yep. But I don't know what people expected, because I look at those and I'm like, obviously one of the biggest departures is Eva Lynn, because they have her, and I agree with some people say there is like a Korra vibe to her.
Oh,
very, very like it. I could see it, but
the only thing Evil Lyn about that figure is the extra head and the staff.
Yeah.
Nothing else in that figure says Evil Lyn to me at all. It is it is a one-piece tunic that goes down to her knees, and boots and pants and long white hair, which wouldn't even fit under the helmet. I mean, come on, guys. Evil Lyn has had that short white hair. I mean, you can mess with it a little bit, like 2000X did, but like how I mean, that hair is down to her chest. How do you cram all that up into that helmet?
Well, we don't know what the back of the helmet looks like.
we don't.
So you might put it up into a bun, and then the back of it is like a huge back to it. So, I mean, the biggest. I got to admit, looking at those, it's just like, to me, it's just like tiny little things that make me go, oh, this is a little different,
right?
Or this is the. I mean, honestly, Skeletor is the least of all of them where I look at it and go, there's something different. It really truly looks like that's Skeletor to me, just, and there is more of like an MYP vibe of Skeletor than there is for, any of the other characters we're seeing. So it's like, all right, I mean, the shaping staff to me is like a spoiler, because I think there is going to be a point where he uses that in the series. Otherwise he wouldn't be included with that. And the hands, the other hands he has that aren't the grabbing hands or the
kung fu hands,
the curled hands are kung fu hands, and that to me is really weird too, because it's like, typically I would have expected there to be like a Bela Lugosi, like a kind of a like the gnarled curled fingers splayed out, like basically like this, like Ultimate Skeletor here,
right,
where he's got that hand. I thought that we would have something along those lines, and instead we have Kung Fu Grip and Kung Fu Action Skeletor. But I guess if you're shooting a bolt of something, it's like, all right,
that's what I'm thinking. They're going for more of a casting effect than a karate chop effect.
Yeah.
I will say real quick here, I know we're jumping all over the place, guys. Audio listeners, so what we're looking at is the Masterverse Revelation, the Masterverse toy line. It's Skeletor, He-Man on Battle Cat, and an Evil Lyn that is, it's Evil Lyn, Korra the Waterbender Halloween costume variant.
And she's hoping to have her own spinoff, because Nickelodeon said they are reviving the Avatar stuff. So we shall see.
But yeah, He-Man and Skeletor and Battle Cat, to me, they look, like you said, they're classic designed. They're just slightly different. They're just updated. Just like I've said all along, they're gonna take the classic designs and just fit them to Powerhouse's animation style, and that's exactly what these are. There's a little bit of angularness on Battle Cat's helmet. The biggest thing to me, minusing Evil Lyn, because that does nothing for me, is the power sword. It looks very long and skinny. I'm hoping that's some weird angle or Photoshop or something, because that's the one thing. You know me, I love a good power sword. But those proportions just seem so off right there. The handle seems really short. The blade seems really long. I don't know.
The hilt part is the part that I think it's like it looks tiny when you have the blade as long as that is. But
yeah, like it needs to come out a little bit more if the blade's going to be that long. It needs to be a little wider.
Me, it needs to go higher.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it needs to go like at least a half an inch higher, and then you'd have like almost a traditional power sword. But the one thing that I like about the design of it, at least, and I know you're probably not a big thing, you're more the Filmation power sword, but I like how this one, it has like the length of the Filmation power sword to me compared to like the normal figures that we've had, but it also has the Alcala guard at least. So that makes me go, I like it. It's an amalgam of the Filmation style, but it's got the classic version like I like, so it's almost like, I wouldn't say it's perfect, but it's definitely got this. it feels familiar at least.
It does. I just a little bit of proportions. And the biggest thing is that He-Man, while sporting his classic harness, he has his battle armor H on there instead of his cross.
Yeah.
Which, to me at first glance, it's kind of like the Magic Eye poster. It doesn't look right at first, just because I'm so used to seeing that. Even though that symbol was on almost every other He-Man variant except for the original He-Man toy.
Yep.
It still is, at first it kind of looks weird on that classic harness. But it works for me. It looks a little out of place at first, but as your mind gets used to it, it looks better and better every time. And I get everything with the cross. So if you can't use the cross, to me, this H is the perfect thing to use.
I think my only problem with that is I kind of wish that the chest plate was wider now for that reason. Like, I don't need it to be broad, like hugely broad, but there is something to be said about making that. It is a small amount of real estate on his chest to have a wide logo to be there. And I kept thinking, if they almost did it in like the battle armor style, like the actual, almost like the shape that section would have on his chest, but then you have the straps going back from it. And I know that's going to make it an even more starkly different look for that kind of a harness on him. But I think that would have actually fit the H better in certain ways as like the iconic logo on there. But to be honest, I mean, I always loved that logo since I was a kid and I got my first Battle Armor He-Man. And, they used it, like you said, they used it on Battle Armor He-Man, Flying Fists, and Thunder Punch, and it was also on the Dragon Walker. So, like we've talked about that on the show, even with like the Golden Book.
Yes, they used it a lot.
The mini comics. I mean, they used that form of him way more. I forgot how often they used that versus the traditional looking He-Man. So, a lot of the people that are having the flare up about this, I feel, are the people who they just watched the cartoon and that was it. But people like us that were like always, okay, let's see the next iteration. Let's get the newest figure. Let's read the newest books or whatever. It's like, no, you were getting inundated with this as well. It's just the popular version obviously stuck to one version of He-Man. And Filmation never did any of the variants, and 2000X went a little overboard with the variants. So, it's like this to me, it's like, I don't mind it. It's actually that's the only thing about He-Man I'm looking at him where I'm like, oh, so they did that this time. But everything else looks the way that I would have expected it. So in that way, at least for He-Man and Skeletor, I feel like Kevin Smith definitely said the right thing that, they're not trying to reintroduce or reinvent the wheel. But then when you look at Evelyn, you're like, wait a minute. It's like Kevin Smith.
Now do you think there's a chance that could be an Evelyn disguise? And that you'll get a proper Evelyn down the road?
I don't know, because I don't know. Like, this line, I feel like the way it was presented to us at PowerCon, it feels like this is a very finite kind of an idea with the figures. So it makes me go, okay, either she's going to be presented like this quite a lot on the show, and this is just going to be from the beginning of the first episode when we meet her, she's always going to look like this, or this is something that she gets deep into the show, and that's her look throughout the rest of it compared to the version that we know. I mean, honestly, I'm like, if He-Man and Skeletor look right to me, I'm okay with them kind of taking liberties with other ones for some reason. Because I don't know, it's like here's the thing, in the age that we're in right now, I would not be surprised to have them reassessing some of that, like Evelyn, for instance, and going, maybe we can't show as much skin with this all the time or something. But at the same time, it's like, okay, then this does not look the way that I would have reinvented an Evelyn.
Well,
at the same, there's elements of like, okay, like was it Sideshow?
Yeah.
They did the one where and it's like, well, why couldn't we have gone with like the evil sorceress in like a Maleficent way instead of doing Korra? You know?
That's it, and that's what leads me to believe maybe this is just a disguise, and that serves some part in the story. But then there's the actual Evil Lyn look, because how do you stick this close on He-Man and Skeletor? And like you said, that's not even an update of Evil Lyn. There's nothing in that costume that draws from the vintage Evil Lyn or the 2000X or anything. There's, there'd be one thing, 2000X gave her that like skirt on the back. But that's not what this is. That's what we thought it was based on that silhouette that was leaked at not leaked, but shown at PowerCon. We thought it'd be like that little half skirt cape thing, but it's not. It's a whole long-waisted trench coat thing. So that's the weirdness to me, is that there's like nothing pulling from the vintage design there. So it's not an update, it's a complete redesign, which they've been adamant about that this wasn't going to be. So that's what leads me to believe. Yeah. And the fact that she's not shown with the crown, the headdress head. She's shown with that long white-haired head. More like that's like her second accessory. Maybe that wasn't even supposed to be shown. Maybe we're supposed to believe that this is an entirely different character and they just spoiled something by showing off that head,
Yeah. And you're going to be pissed because you hate spoilers anyway. So I could just see you, the minute that whatever happens with this version of her happens on the show, you're going to be like, like, why did you have to do this?
Oh, I could go down
that way or whatever.
Just off these three images, I could go down the whole thing. Well, number one, this is a continuation of the classic series. The shaping staff was destroyed at the end of the Filmation episode of its name. Evil Lyn comes with a satchel. Why? That's a very oddly specific accessory that's not based on anything vintage. Like, again, did they just incorporate a satchel into her design? Or that actually, comes into play somehow? Or why? And I know these are supposed to be for the adult collector, but still, why would you want a satchel with your Evil Lyn? So, there's all sorts of stuff you can pull from here. And going back to the chest symbol on He-Man, looks like that H on the classic harness is going to stick around for a while. I didn't pull the pictures of it, but they did show off a Mega Construx advent calendar, which looks pretty cool. Each day you pull it out and you get either blocks to build something or a minifigure or whatever. And that He-Man on there is sporting the classic harness with the H, even though all the Mega Constructs up until now have been released with the cross. So it definitely looks like Mattel's moving forward with this being his. I'm assuming this is going to be his classic look. Whenever they want to do a vintage He-Man, they're going to use this, because then the CGI He-Man had a completely different chest symbol. So.
Yeah, and that chest symbol, I forgot to bring that up when we looked at it, but that chest symbol, I'm like, what the heck? Like, that is a chest symbol that I'm like, that's not even a chest symbol. That's like a torso symbol on him.
Yeah, because the lines, it's still the HM type thing, but the lines go like from top to bottom of his chest for the H, and then he's got a Lil or M. Almost, honestly, it's almost the animated Mike Young Productions kind of H symbol, kind of exaggerated and more M-like. So I'm not hating it, but it's definitely different.
Yeah, I kind of hope that there is an explanation why it is what it is there, but I don't. I think me looking at this stuff, I'm like, I hope there's an explanation. And then the other part of me is like, there wasn't a lot of explanations of why things were the way they were, even with the original line. So why am I expecting that to happen here?
Right.
We're in an age where we expect it to start from the ground up and introduce us to it on the ground floor. And it's like, I feel like a lot of people that love Masters are kind of the people going, I don't need an introduction, just throw me into a story and let me have some fun with it. And I think when there's stark differences with the looks of these characters, though, there is a part of me going, but why? Give me a little something so that my mind can at least process this being a little bit more this or whatever. But honestly, like, I think the one takeaway that I had looking at these figures more than anything the other day was I said, this, now I know how He-Man would look if he was a Marvel Legends figure.
Yeah.
Because the knee joints, I'll say thank you, whoever designed these. At least thank you, because I absolutely hate with a passion those freaking knee joints on the Origins figures. I hate them. I hate them. I hate them. And I love that these, at least, I don't need it to be a double joint, but at least the knees look like the knees and they don't look like there's flippers. And, you know, they do look a lot more in the style of what I'd rather see on my shelf than Origins, but at the same time, these are definitely still not going to be Origins, because there is something to be said, like they aren't a big piece of plastic. They feel like they're going to be more Mike Young Productions and even 2000X, the way that the line went. And I don't know, like there's a part of me when I saw them where I'm like, this is what I expected, but I'm underwhelmed because I didn't want what I expected. I wanted it to be, this is something in my head, and then when they translated it into what they were really going to show us, it would have been like, oh, and instead I went like, all right. Like when I saw it, I'm like, that's pretty much what I expected.
That was exactly my reaction too. It's like, okay, yep, there they are. You know, it's like, except for Evelyn, and that's what leads me to believe that that's something else. But yeah, they're instantly recognizable. But yeah, it's the same thing as Origins. When it came out, it's like, okay, there's the vintage figures with added articulation. And these are like, okay, there's He-Man and Skeletor. I still think that, and that's the thing, they're not taking it to the next level like Classics did, and that's the biggest thing for me. I don't see how you can top that line. I know I'm a broken record about it.
We both are.
The one thing,
it's okay.
The one complaint I have is that they did not go big enough on the proportions. The bodies are bugging me, especially He-Man, probably because he's got so much exposed flesh. They're so rectangular. You know, He-Man and Skeletor and all the characters have always had those bodybuilder proportions, which is a smaller waist, and you're coming up to these broad shoulders. These guys don't have that. These guys, I mean, they're muscular, you can tell, but they're like you and me muscular. You know, their shoulders are right above the sides of their waist. He-Man's always taking it to that next level. You know, these kind of look like SpongeBob SquarePants, you know, in a loincloth. So that's the one thing that keeps bugging me, is like the chest and the abs and that the whole torso. It looks too realistic, honestly. You know, and they need to be bumped to those epic proportions.
Well, the other thing, like, I agree completely with that, because to me, like, even in the original 2000X line, and I'm going to be referencing that anytime I talk about these, because I get that vibe no matter what out of these figures. When you watched Mike Young Productions cartoon, He-Man was like a freaking mountain.
Right.
And then when you look at the figure, and I'm not trying to say the Horseman did anything wrong, but I feel like the figure definitely didn't add up to the sum of the parts of what I was seeing on the screen for the actual character design of He-Man. And I always was like, I kind of wanted He-Man to look huge in the figure, because he's the one out of anybody that makes sense. Make him big. I mean, they did the bigger Beast Man and all that stuff, but it's like He-Man just kind of was an athletic man.
Right.
He looked... He reminded me of almost like Captain America. He would be pushed to the limits of what you can do as a physical specimen, but at the end of the day, he's still a man. Right. And like, I want He-Man to look like, you know, he could punch a mountain and the mountain will crumble, instead of him punching a mountain and actually going, ow, you know? And this feels the same way to me. And I agree. Like, there's proportions in this, whereas like He-Man's shoulders maybe could be broader. He could be, you know, bulkier in the not in the midsection, but in the upper torso, to really give him that like He-Man vibe that I think we're all expecting. And even Skeletor, like, I kind of was hoping that it would be a leaner form of Skeletor. When I look at that, I'm like, it's just kind of Skeletor, but the characteristic is just he's standing there. I know it's just a released image and all that, leaked image.
But I know what you're saying. They're using the same buck. He-Man and Skeletor are the same buck here.
I wish they didn't. Mm-hmm. I wish they didn't, because I really loved. I know it's a cost thing, but it's like, okay, Skeletor could be a leaner looking figure and maybe a little more like, hunched over in that like way like 2000X did, and then He-Man could be, standing up barrel chested and all that stuff. It's like that's kind of what you do. Like the silhouettes they revealed at PowerCon kind of led me to believe they were going to do something that made them individual. Right. And when I see this, there was like I really was hoping that we were going to have like a sequel to 2000X, possibly with the proportions, and instead it's like everybody gets the same buck and everybody's the other thing too, real quick, is the colors. Again, leaked image. I'm not going to try to judge everything based on this one image, but the one thing that is kind of bumming me out too is it's the same with the Origins line. It's something that drives me nuts. Is it looks like the paint apps really are sparse. It doesn't look like they put a huge amount of investment other than let's have a yellow belt on He-Man. His loincloth needs to be, a brownish red. His hair needs to be yellow. And boom, we have He-Man. And I'm like, well, could we at least have a little variation of something here and there? It could be that's the way the presentation is on the show. But I'm also like, I feel like even that anime. Go for it.
There might be more once we get up closer. It might be. I will say it does look like there is some color on Skeletor's, crossbones. Battle Cat's eyes are painted, so.
I thought that was.
Yeah, cool. So there, when you get up, like, I think He-Man might have the red squares on his harness, so.
I think he does.
I mean, there might be something a little bit more once we get up closer.
Possibly. I will say, though, Battle Cat's the one that I'm actually the most excited to see, because that looks as close. If you don't have a Classics Battle Cat, this looks like it's going to be a great one to put into the collection. And I actually think if you extend his legs so he's standing like the Origins one has to because of the ankle articulation, that cat is probably going to be about the same size of He-Man when he's standing upright, or damn close. And that's huge because he's a 7-inch figure. And
he has the wrist articulation.
And he has that. Here's the thing. Like I love this more than I like anything else they've shown for the figures recently. But it's like I always feel like I get a little something I like, but I have to take one step back, because I'm looking at this and going, okay, Skeletor, I would have loved him to be leaner. He-Man, I would have loved him to be bigger. And then I look at Battle Cat, and I'm like, Battle Cat is almost 100% great, but I hate that helmet.
Yeah.
That's the only thing about Battle Cat that drives me up the wall. It's like that helmet, I know they're using it as this is supposed to look like the cartoon, but it's not working for me the way that everything else with the figure is. So he'll be displayed without his helmet on, unfortunately, if I get it.
Yeah,
so.
No, I completely agree. I know we're coming to the end of our time.
Yep.
I do want to throw out here real quick. I am going to drop a link down below. Check out Faking Filmation. I'm going to drop a link to their Facebook page. They got a Kickstarter coming. We're going to get a little bit more in depth in that. We're just running low on time today. But I do want to throw it out there. Follow that Facebook page. Rob McCallum, who did the Power of Grayskull documentary and a lot more, is spearheading it. And it's all about James E. Tock's fan-made cartoon, The Return of Faker. Lots of great things coming for that. Make sure you follow them, and we'll get further into that down the road. Before we sign off, I know we had some stuff we wanted to show. So, alright, so first thing I've got is from James Etok. He's been selling off some more stuff on eBay. Oh my God. and he does great packaging. So I got... He's got them all... I guess I should have pre-opened this. He's got everything taped individually multiple times. Great job, James.
He means it both sarcastically, but also he really means it.
I should have, maybe I can just slide him out. Here we go. So he's got his eBay store, Busted Tunes. He's got some cool pieces up again. All right, here we go. So the first thing I got from him was this very nice Mulcrum cell. That's a beauty right there. Nice full image, big and clear. And then I got a nice Panther facing off against Battle Cat.
Nice.
That's actually, and they're even separate, so I can even do something else with them if I wanted to. Yep, very, very lovely pieces, James. That Panther's a beauty with the saddle. He doesn't come up much. And then the other thing I got from him was he's putting copies of the storyboards, and this one's for Dawn of Dragoon. So that's, yeah, these are pretty cool. It is just a copy, obviously, but still. I got the full storyboard here. It's got all the notes and everything, the changes, all of that. Even that opening shot there with the interesting interpretation of Dragoon. So that's really cool. Nice peek behind the curtain. You know how I love that stuff.
Oh yeah.
So what'd you get? I got one more, but I'll let you go first.
All right.
On that monopolizing.
So over on the Facebook page, in the last month, I want to say, maybe it was a little bit more. There's this artist that I love his work. His name is Gerard Perel, and he's worked for a lot of. He's definitely done work for Marvel, and he's done other work. And he's also somebody in past years where he did his own rendition of Masters of the Universe. And he had, King Grayskull, Sorceress, She-Ra, Teela, Faker, you name it, Skeletor, Beastman. And he even did Rio Blast at one point. And he started just randomly... He just started one day, he did a digital sketch of He-Man. And it was based on the Alcala, the old mini comics, the back of the book where it had the scroll and you had all the figures that were available. And he actually did some prints, and through Kirby's Comic Art, their website, they listed that you could get prints of the work that he did, and I bought a few.
Nice. What'd you get?
So the first one I got was the Green Goddess. That was one of my absolute favorites. And then the next one, and I wanted to get them all. I really wanted to get them all. Absolutely. I'm not going to lie. I could. Whoops. Hold on. Sorry about that. Technical difficulties. All right. The next one is the man himself.
Nice.
I got He-Man in the Alcala.
See, look at those broad shoulders versus that shorter waist.
I know. It looks like he's a powerful individual. Absolutely. I mean, he looks and with that battle axe, he looks like he's going to take care of business no matter what. This guy channels the version of Eternia that I've always had in my head, and I hate that I keep dropping the phone. Sorry. Every time I move, it keeps on falling. Here we go. And the final one, and then I'll stop doing that, is Teela.
Very nice.
Who this one was absolutely gorgeous. He captured her in such a great way. So I was thrilled. The other day I actually I was waiting, and I'm like, ooh, they came in, and they are actually limited to 100 prints. And each of mine are 16 of the 100 prints that they have.
Wow.
And last I looked, they still have a few for pre-order. I still would like to get a Beastman and a Skeletor just to at least have some villains.
Right.
So I know they're still up there. Kirby's Comic Art
Yep, I'll drop
had
a
them
link
out
down
there
below
to
there. So
deliver.
that's pretty cool that I know they package yours at the same time, but still that you were able to get like 16 across the board. Like no one else picked one of them up before you. That's pretty
cool.
It
is, and to have that low of a number.
Yeah.
So.
Last thing I've got. This came from Richard Locke, fabulous collector, over through the Facebook groups. I got some more cells. One of them I saw, and the other we just kind of made a deal. So I'm actually gonna see it at the same time as you. I know who it is, but I haven't actually seen it yet. I just opened it right now, so. But it's a character.
He's been dying to open these all week,
I
people.
have been,
so.
And this is a character.
This is his Christmas.
This is a character I've been after, who does not come up a lot, and I'm gonna pull everything down too with these headphones. Beautiful packaging, Richard. Thank you. Let's see which one we've got. Oh, we even included something extra.
Oh.
Okay, so here is the one that I knew about. Hopefully the glare's not too horrendous. Rabar with the sword from Quest for the Sword. I don't know if you remember this episode where the rock people steal He-Man's sword and take it down. He's got to go chase after. He doesn't think he's going to be able to be Adam anymore. It's one of my favorite episodes from a kid. I watch it all the time. And to get him, because they use these rock people designs a lot, but him holding the power sword, this one I didn't know was going to be in there. But this is, and it is from the same episode, 56. I can't remember his name. I feel so bad. But it's the other, rock guy who ends up taking Man-at-Arm's gun. So that is awesome, Richard. I didn't even know that was gonna be. Oh, so now I got both of them. Nope. That's awesome. Wow, thank you. Now for the other one. This one, I know who the characters are, but I have not actually seen it yet. We were just talking when I was getting the other one. And I'm like, you don't happen to have so-and-so, do you? And then he's like, oh, yeah, and we made a deal, so. But he's like, do you want me to send pictures? I said, no, you know what, just send them. Oh, that's beautiful and big, too. Oh.
The audio listeners might be questioning this. Oh, yeah. So that's from your episode, right?
I managed to get King Helios from Curse of the Spellstone.
Curse of the Spellstone, yeah.
That nice, transparent
awesome.
fire person. Gorgeous. And I got the Fire Cat as well.
Nice.
Those things are
still beautiful. Wish that they could do those for classics.
You know what? Yes, absolutely. And I've got to talk to one of the animators and figure out how you do transparent cell. It's literally transparent. That's awesome. Oh, I love the effect.
I feel like, I know when I was in art school, we used to have to do hand mock-ups, and we had a red sheet of plastic we'd have to put on to block out certain colors. And I'm wondering if that's something similar to what they did with those, but I'm guessing that's paint. That's not actually like anything else, because that would have rubbed off over the years.
Right. Yeah, it's a like I said, the translucency is the weird thing. Like, you can see that his mouth is regular, the yellow part's regular because it's blocking it. Yeah, it's phenomenal. Characters I never thought I would own, and those are gorgeous,
You're gonna have a heck of an animation collection. I mean, you got how many?
I got
from you did those on the show a couple times.
Yep.
Now you've revealed a couple of finds, and then even these today with James and stuff. It's like, boy, you're gonna have to.
I have quite.
You're gonna have to open a wing somewhere. The Matthew Duge animation.
I need a wall. Absolutely, I need a wall. I got to start getting some of these guys done up, get some scenes going, and get them preserved. Because I actually have ones I've gotten that I've never even shown off. So everything you've seen is probably only about half of my collection.
Gee.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call you Big Roller from now on. I just have toys and prints.
You know what?
That's the most I get,
honestly, you find the right groups, you find the right auctions. Yes, there is some things that just go ridiculously high, but I've gotten a lot of good deals through the community, so it's been good.
Very cool.
Oh, all right. Anything you got to wrap us up?
I think I've said everything I need to say at this point. And I think the one thing is, with everything I've seen online this week, it's nice to be able to have a conversation that is not turning it into we're ruining each other's childhood by talking about something new.
Right.
That's about it. So,
yep.
So yeah, I'm excited.
Exactly.
It's new He-Man.
There's new stuff coming.
There's no way around it.
Nope, I completely agree. I'm interested in seeing what's coming. I can't wait. So summer, we've got Revelation dropping. Fall, we've got He-Man and the Masters, which means that lead-in comic has to be right around the corner as well. So
I'd say I wouldn't be surprised if we see something next month finally.
Yeah,
solicited.
It's got to be it's got to at least be solicited. So.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited. Great things on the horizon, officially and unofficially. I'm going to throw it out there again because I feel bad because we didn't get to spend as much time on it as I wanted to. Check out Faking Filmation. That's going to be amazing. Unfortunately, we are out of time, and I want to give that the proper due that it deserves.
Definitely.
All right, guys. So, this is the moment where I plead to you. We're doing great things. We're going to come on live later in the week to give away those prizes. But still, like, subscribe, share, ring that bell so you get notified when we go live. And until next time.
Until next time.
Oh, come on. Ah, rock! Oh, bear. Oh. Ah!
Are you guys still here? What are you doing? Show's over. Get out of here. It's done. Go. Read a book. All right. First person to go over to the Facebook page and mention this bumper, you get another spot on the wheel. All right? You happy now? Go then.